Have you ever purchased a piece of furniture you had to assemble only to find the directions were not well written, or even worse, there were no directions in the box? Well, this video will help you assemble your audience for optimal filming.
Your confidence level rises when you have clear instructions to follow. Perhaps you have had similar experiences. There are 4 things you should consider as you prepare to film your audience. First, how you should gather your audience. Second, the setup of the room. Third, how to film the audience and speaker. And fourth, reviewing the video prior to submission.
Let's first discuss how to gather your 5 audience members over the age of 18. A quick caveat, if you're a dual enrollment student, you may use your classmates, and the videographer also counts as an audience member.
When you're looking for your audience members, remember the audience must be filmed the entire time. If they're not comfortable with that, then a different audience member should be selected.
And here are some ways that students in the past have recruited audience members. They've reached out to classmates, family members, coworkers, friends, and/or members of a church or a club. Now, if you don't have any of these social networks, you may need to be a little more courageous and solicit the kindness of strangers, perhaps in a public setting like Starbucks or the public library.
So now that we've talked about how to gather your audience members, let's talk about how to set up the room that you'll be videotaping your speech in.
Be sure to pick a space that allows all your audience members to sit comfortably and has adequate lighting. Lighting should be in the front, not behind the speaker. Consider the distractions in the room. For example, a light with a fan, which creates a strobe effect, so do your best to eliminate that. In addition to lighting, be sure to omit background noises. For example, phones, talking, dogs, and etc.
Once your room is set, it's important to consider the camera position. If using a laptop, it should be level. In other words, the speaker should not be looking up or looking down at the camera.
The speaker should also be in the center of the frame so that their whole person can be recorded, and you want to allow enough space for purposeful movement. Ensure that no member of your audience is obstructing the video camera when you're filming the speaker.
Now that you have some guidance on how to set up the room, let's talk about the recording of yourself and your audience.
There are several things to keep in mind when you're filming your audience and yourself as the speaker. Be sure to follow your professor's direction on documenting the audience. Here are the most common requirements.
When you begin recording, but before you start your actual speech, ask your audience members to wave to the camera. If required by the professor, ask each audience member to state their name. The audience has to be in the recording frame for the entire speech. Audience members may sit or stand, but they should not be lying on the floor, bed, or hiding under a piece of clothing.
As the speaker, you want to be mindful of a few important guidelines. Your body, head to toe, should be in the frame, as this helps with seeing how you, the speaker, engages with the audience through the use of nonverbal communication. You should be standing unless unable to do so.
Dress appropriately for a professional or academic setting. If you have questions about what this means, check with your professor. Also, wear colors that are different from the color of the wall or curtains behind you. Use an extemporaneous delivery style. Use keywords or phrases to help guide you through your ideas, but the speech should not be scripted word for word.
Most professors agree it is best not to use a podium so that the speaker comes across as more confident, but check with your professor on their specific recommendations for podium use. And if your professor requires a visual aid, check on instructions for the speech assignment.
Once you've completed your recording, the final step is to review the recorded speech.
Just as you proofread your outline for grammar, spelling, and formatting, and so on, proofing your video is as important. After the recording, you should review what's been recorded immediately while your audience is still there, just in case you need to re-record your speech. Here's what you should check.
The volume should be loud enough so the speaker can be heard. The lighting should be appropriate in that the speaker and audience members are viewable. If these two requirements are not met, you should re-record your speech with the adjustments to the recording volume and/or the lighting.
Filming should be continuous without any editing. There should also be no editing of the video afterwards. When you upload your recording on YouTube, it must be set to unlisted. And finally, watch your uploaded video on YouTube before submitting the link to your professor.
Properly filming you and your audience is important, and that is why we reviewed
How you should gather your audience,
how to set up the room,
how to film the audience and speaker.
and the importance of viewing your video prior to submission.
Now you have the instructions to assemble your presentation.